Daryl, the Change Management Network is excited that you're coming to Minnesota for our February summit and also to deliver the Advanced Preparation for Senior Trusted Advisor workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be awesome. So, but before we get into a couple of questions regarding the workshop, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? A lot of people know who you are, but there are a few that would like to hear a little bit more.
Well, I began work in change management before it was a profession. So I started in 1974 doing some of the early research around distinguishing whether you could actually find out if there were patterns to when companies successfully changed and didn't, and found that there were patterns and began to create some of the first methodology tools and techniques, and have been for the past 40 plus years continuing in that pursuit, and more recently really focusing in on instead of the large international corporate arenas, focusing more on nonprofits and NGOs. Just personally, the Connor Partners as a firm still works with large organizations, and the Connor Academy was started to allow me an opportunity to work just with seasoned senior practitioners and those that are interested in moving toward mastery, and gives us a chance to work together.
Awesome. Well, that's quite a background in change management and the movement towards the NGOs, and so that's pretty amazing. So what I'd like to focus so that now I understand that you're focused on the top tier practitioners. Right?
Yeah. You know, Paul, when I started, there wasn't any tools and techniques, and so any practitioner, I was happy to find any change practitioners in those days. There's so many, I think, really solid options for practitioners to get the basics and even mid-career tools and techniques. And so I've gotten really interested in working with practitioners that they're well grounded in methodology, but they aspire to have even greater influence and even higher level influence. And so it's those that are moving toward mastery of their craft. That's where I enjoy working, and that's what the Connor Academy is really designed to do.
Okay. So this course then, the Advanced Preparation for Senior Trusted Advisor, what's this course all about? So I get who you're working with, who you like to work with. What's the course going to do for that kind of an individual?
Yeah. So this course came about from our research. We found that when you go to the people who buy our services, whether you're an internal practitioner or an external practitioner, those leaders who pay money for our time or hire us full time, I went to them and this research project, and I said, what kind of value are you getting from this profession? And to my surprise, 25% said they didn't get much value at all. 65% said they were getting absolutely fine value. They didn't consider our profession a strategic resource, but they were really glad that we were there providing tactical support. And 10% of these leaders said, they would never make a major change move without this trusted advisor. Oftentimes that was the term used. Mm-hmm. So the last few years I've crawled into, so what's going on with that 10%? How do they generate this influence? And there's a number of things that we found. This particular course is focused in on how they establish their rapport. Many of the change practitioners that get a shot at working with senior leaders. And Paul, I'm using that term, not just the C-suite. If it's a large organization, it may be senior leaders of a sector or division, but it's a definable unit, and it's the top leaders for that unit. Many practitioners that have a shot at influencing them, it doesn't work. They come out of those first interactions with the leaders either not inviting them back at all or treating them in a very tactical way rather than strategic. And we saw that happening enough in the research that we finally applied what we all know, that the practitioners that were really making these relationships work, when we interviewed them, many of them could not articulate what they were doing to establish the relationship. They could tell me what they were doing once they had the trust, But how do you, if you should be lucky enough to get into a senior officer, how do you get this thing going?
Yeah.
So, so we extracted from the unconsciously competent people that were doing it right. We extracted what they were doing, and that's what this course is about. It's not about methodology. So it's not about what do you do once you have access. It's how do you gain access, build the rapport that you need for deep, trusting advisory work, and how do you maintain that kind of relationship? And obviously, if we're talking about how to establish and maintain this rapport, we're also have to talk about how can you lose it? How can you not not let it flourish? So we're going to be looking at both ends of how you establish rapport at that senior level, because let's face it, there's some unique challenges around working at that level, and our profession really hasn't done a lot, I think, to help our professionals get prepared.
So who should drop everything right now and run to sign up?
So let's start with that. As I mentioned, this is for seasoned practitioners. Now, that the seasoning, it simply means it's not for novices, Paul. This program is for people that are already working with senior officers and would like to enhance the relationship, or people that aspire to do that.
Yep.
That's fine. That's fine. But this is not a program this is not the nuts and bolts of entry-level work or even mid-career work. So let's start with the practitioner needs to have a lot of scar tissue, needs to be seasoned. Yeah. They need to be solidly grounded in one or more change methodologies. I don't care what it is. You can be certified in anything. I don't care. But this isn't the place to learn the latest tool and technique. This is a program for people that are seeking to advance their craft to a mastery level. So these are people that are willing to be introspective, look hard at themselves, be disciplined about what's necessary to take it to the next level. And the criteria for that, as far as I'm concerned, taking it to the next level is advancing client impact. I'm using client, Paul, whether you're an outside practitioner or an inside practitioner, we're all serving leaders, and those leaders I'm referring to as clients. Well, the metric here is we're looking for people that already have a solid base of influence, and they want to advance that influence with senior officers even more. And so that's another piece, another criteria is this is for practitioners that want to work at the senior level of their organization, because that's where we can have the greatest impact if we can help shape that kind of thinking. And the last piece is that they're confident enough in the other pieces that we can zero in on the rapport building, the trust building, the partnership building aspects of this relationship. So for somebody that listens to that and says, well, I think I meet that punch list, then yeah, this would probably be a pretty good option.